Today's webinar is going over one of the great features that's in the BrainAvatar software. This feature is the ability to review EDFs that have been created in BrainAvatar, in NeuroGuide, in any program that you possibly have that would create an EDF file. The reason that this is a great tool is when you're doing a QEEG or an analysis of any sorts, you might not be able to use all the tools that BrainAvatar has built in to review. You know, you're worrying about hooking people up and getting things connected and all that, but the BrainAvatar software has a lot of great features that allow you to basically see a little bit further into the QEEG file that you might not be able to do without using any type of analysis program. By utilizing the BrainAvatar software in this way, you get a lot of great features. I know Penny Jean and Tom Kalura have been doing a couple other webinars on utilizing the S-Loretta, Live Loretta projector and utilizing that for clinical features. And this kind of goes along with those ones in the fact that some of the things that they showed you on controls of the head map, by reviewing a file and using those settings that they did, you might be able to get a little bit more out of the software in general. Just an understanding of kind of what's happening and a little bit further depth into what is occurring. So I'm going to start off by telling you that there are two different ways to review an EDF file. The first way is the classic way, and that is inside the software itself. And the way you're going to do that is by starting up the software, which is right down here. And I got my Windows telling me to start it up. And now I'm in the software. So now, as you can see, I have a file called Review Webinar that I created a folder. And I will recommend, usually for reviewing and things like that, you might want to make yourself kind of a special folder that's like this. The nice thing about creating a folder that's like, or that's set up with your settings and all that, is you're going to be able to review what you want to see. If you want to look at Z-scores, you can have them set up ahead of time. If you want to review the Live Loretta projector or S-Loretta Z-scores, you can have those things set up outside of where you did your QEEG or anything of that nature. So I'm going to hit Exit right here. I'm going to hit File, Open EEG File. So now the first thing that this is going to do is it's going to bring you right here where all of your program data is stored for the BrainAvatar software. So anytime you create a folder or do any type of trainings and all that, all the data files are stored in the C drive, Program Data, BrainMaster, Studies. So from here you can double click into a study folder and pull up any type of EDF file that you might have created in the past. But what I am going to do, so I'm going to go to the desktop because I got this folder right here that's called Rob EDF File EC for Eyes Closed. And I'm simply going to double click it. And you're going to notice that right here it has gone over to the Review tab and I have my EDF file for display. I can use the scroll bar right down here to scroll through the entire file. And you're going to notice a green thing on here that I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here in a little bit, explaining what is exactly. So that is one way of opening up an EDF file in the BrainAvatar software. Another way is actually opening up the EDF file directly, which I have my file right here. And you're going to notice it has a blue brain just like the BrainAvatar software. That is because you can make it so that the software recognizes it. And the easiest way to do that is to find your EDF file that you want, and you're going to right-click. You're going to choose the option Open With. You're usually not going to see BrainMaster Avatar right off the bat, but you're going to go to Choose Default Programs. Because I'm on Windows 8, I got this new system file right here. Windows 7 is going to look a little bit different, but what we're going to do is we're always going to choose More Options, and we're actually going to look for another app on this PC. If the EDF file is not defaulted for you, you're going to go to the C drive. You're going to go to Program Files x86, BrainMaster, Avatar, Bin, then you're going to go and choose the option Master 40. Now that I already have mine chosen, I don't have to do that. All I have to do is double click the file. And of course my user account control says that right there. But after I do that, there we are. We're already open up on the review screen with that EDF information already opened up. Another thing I want to show you as far as some of the different things that I am going to be covering in this thing is that they are in our user manuals that we have set up for you guys and have sent to you. And where you can have access to those user manuals is if I hit the setup button right here and I hit product manuals. This is going to open up this page right here in which I have different areas of documentation I have available. If I click BrainAvatar documentation, the option that I'm going to see all this in is in trainee screens right here. And it's going to load up because this one right here is a fairly large file. It's about 53 pages in size. And I believe we are on pages 31 through 38 are all the items that I'm going to be covering today. It starts right here with playing back an EDF file. So you guys already have that in your software that you have access to so that should you have any questions on anything, you can go back to. Okay, so now as we go along, right off the bat, if you open up an EDF file, if you really wanted to, you could just hit the playback button right here. And it'll just start playing back the entire EDF file throughout the way. And you can go to your different tabs that you might have set up for different features and be able to review exactly what's going on. And you can do that right off the bat without doing anything. Now, that is a very nice tool right off the bat, but it's not really specific. Occasionally when we do QEEGs and things like that, there are points in time that aren't the best in the world and you really don't want to look at as far as what you want to see. For example, right there, and I can go through and I can see a whole bunch of different spots of things I may or may not want to actually view. So, one of the features that we built into the BrainAvatar software in the review system is the ability to select out bits and pieces of things that we really want to look at. So if I left click right here and I drag over to about right here, I'm going to go to about 9 seconds and let go of my mouse, you're going to see this dialog box pop up. Now this dialog box has a lot of different features, and the most important things that we're going to want to cover right now is the Annotate section and the Playback section. These are the things that are really bring out the review section or the review system into control. So one of the things you're going to notice, and we're going to cover right off the bat, the annotation portion, is these different sections you got. You got marking as good, marking as bad, mark as, which if I hit the drop down have a bunch of different options in it, good, bad, artifact, or iBlink. And then we got another one that says annotate with text right here. And if I really wanted to, I can type in whatever I wanted to. Let's cover some of the basics right now. For example, if I want to mark this as good, if I click this right here, one of the things I want you guys to notice is right up here, it says looking for BrainMaster hardware. If you notice that something doesn't seem to be working right when you're trying to mark, that is the problem. Your device has to be hooked up to the system in order for you to be able to mark it as good. Now, as I marked as good, there are two things that happened. One, if I click off elsewhere, you're going to see this in a light green right here. You're going to see a marking right down here that says good. And also on my bar down here, you're going to see this green area that popped up. All right. So as you can see, this is the second green area because I got another green area right here. So I have now marked a section good. Now let's say I really didn't want to mark that section good. That's not something that I really wanted to. If I right click right down here on this bar right here, it's going to bring up this menu. And once again, that was right clicking. From here, I can see what I marked it as, where the sample started, where the end sample was, and the duration of time. As you can see, it was about 6.5 seconds. And one of the things I can do right here is hit the button, delete marker. And now it's gone. So it disappeared, and it's never been okay to use. All right? Another option you have, I don't like that area. Let's go a little bit further. Is if I take this area right here and I select, I can do mark as bad. Now, you're going to notice that this time as I marked, it didn't go and search out for my BrainMaster hardware. That's because on the second time around, it already knows that it's connected, and it doesn't need to do that. So only the first time are you going to get that really slow speed. So now, as I marked bad, you're going to notice once again a couple things. There's going to be red on the background right here. you're going to notice it's marked bad right down here, and right down here you're going to notice that it's marked red. That's how I know that it's been marked as bad EEG. And now I'm going to go to another area. Let's scroll right here. I'm going to take this area right here, and I'm going to select this area as well. And now I'm not going to do mark as good, mark as bad. I'm going to go to mark as right here. And now we've already done good or bad, and I don't worry about that one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose some of the other options. I'm going to go to Artifact. And now I'm going to hit the Mark As button. And when I click off, once again, you're going to notice 3 more things. You're going to notice that this is a blue background right here. You're going to notice Artifact right here. And you're going to notice that this is actually a brighter red, and as I move, is going to be in pink. All right. And the final area I'm going to do is I'm going to take this area right here. And I'm going to select this area. And we're going to do one more thing. We're going to go Mark As. This time I'm going to go as I blink. And I'm going to hit Mark As. And I'm going to select off. And once again, we're going to see the area right here back here is blue. We're going to see the marking right here is I blink. And in the scroll bar right down here, we're going to notice that's selected as blue. Now, the final option of marking that we have in our system is your own customized one. So now I'm going to take this area right here. I'm going to let go. I'm going to go down here to annotate with text. Now I'm going to delete this out, and I'm going to call this Rob Webinar. I'm going to hit annotate with text, and we're going to see it's blue. We're going to see right down here it was marked as Rob Webinar, and we're going to notice that right down here it was marked as blue too. Why do you want to mark the areas? That actually goes into the next section that we're going to kind of cover on mark. The reason that you really want to mark these areas is because sometimes when you're playing back a file, right now this file is, let me look through it, I want to say it is about 381 seconds long. Now that's a little bit over 6 minutes. I don't usually always want to see every single bit of this information that I, want to play back. If I did, I would just not even worry about annotating at all, and I'd just hit the playback button. But if I annotate this area, I'm able to pick and choose what I fully want to play back. So now, let's go into the playback function, and I'm just going to go over some of the different features of the playback feature without actually playing back anything. So I'm going to sweep out this area right here. And I'm going to let go. And now we're going to go to the playback section. All right. With the playback function, there's always a whole bunch of things that you're going to have to choose right off the bat. You have to first decide what you're going to play back. There are 2 options with radio buttons. One is the whole file. So if I click this, what is going to occur is I'm going to start from second 1, and I'm going to go to second 381 and play back the entire thing. If I choose the selected range, it's going to give you the sample times right here, and it's going to be whatever area you selected in green that's going to be highlighted. So that's the first difference right there. What to play back? The whole file is the entire file. The selected range is only the selected range you chose. Now, the next thing that you're going to have to choose is within that selection that I want to play, what information do you want to play? So if I chose the whole file, you're going to notice there were different things. Selected range, all I can do is all of the data. The whole file, on the other hand, I have 2 extra options right here. I have only the sections marked good, which means any section that I marked good, it's going to play that information. Or I have another one, which is all except sections marked bad. So that means if I've gone through and annotated a whole bunch of bad areas that I think are god-awful, it's going to ignore all those areas. Or if I chose some really great choice areas that I'm like, all right, I like how this looks, I think this is going to be really interesting, it's going to only play back those areas. All right? So we're going to go back to the selected range right here. The next thing you're going to see is which filters to use. You got current filters from BSetup or standard BrainMaster filters. For all ease of use right now, guys, unless you guys are really advanced users, which if you're advanced users, you've probably worked with me a lot or you've worked with the software a lot, stick with standard BrainMaster filters. All right, the current filters I do not recommend right off the bat for the basic reviewing on things, stick with standard BrainMaster filters. All right, and then the final option right here is we're ready to play back. All right, so you got two options right here. You got your play selected EEG, so when I hit that, it's going to go. And you got two options. You got one that says repeat, which means it's going to take this information and it's going to play back, and when it reaches the end, it's going to go back, and it's going to go, and it's going to loop, and it's going to constantly loop forever and ever if we honestly let it. The other option is, and this is a really nice feature for all of you guys who basically do QEEGs, and maybe you don't like to artifact the giant files, is and create EDF. So what this is going to do is, depending on what I chose up here or what's going on, it's going to create a brand new EDF that has the areas that I selected for playback. All right. So for example, if I uncheck and repeat, and I'm going to create an EDF, I'm going to hit play selected EEG, and we're going to see it go, and we're going to see it go, and it's going to go for a little bit, and it's done. All right, so now what we're going to do is we got to know where that data is. So we're going to see we're in C, Program Data, BrainMaster, Studies, Review Webinar. So I'm going to go right up here to my little folder option. I'm going to bring my folders over here. I'm going to go to the C drive. I'm going to go to Program Data, BrainMaster, Studies, Review Webinar, and there is my EDF I created. So real quick, I'm going to close the BrainAvatar software. I'm going to double click this. I'm going to click Yes to User Account Controls, and there's my EDF I created. So I have a brand new bit of data that I chose from that and created a brand new EDF out of that. So the power of this is that it's very flexible. You now can basically look at choice pieces of data and play back only those bits of data and really review what you really want to see out of some information that you got. So let's go back to this raw EDF file. Double click it. I'm going to open it. I'm in my review area. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not a clinician, I'm a technician, so what I'm really selecting out here probably isn't the best in the world, but I'm going to take some different areas. I'm going to hit Mark is Good. Now we're looking for my BrainMaster hardware. We're seeing my BrainMaster hardware. So I'm going to take that information. Mark is good. I'm going to take a little bit right there. We're going to mark that as good. We're going to mark as good. We're going to mark as good. And we're going to mark as good. All right. Now, the first thing I'm going to do out of this right now, that I've done this, is now I've swept out all these areas called good, or that I'm saying that are good. And one of the things I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to double click right here. Now you're going to notice that I double clicked, I didn't sweep an area out that right off the bat, but you're going to notice by double clicking, all of a sudden I'm sampling from 489 to 489, which doesn't make sense to many things. But the reason I'm double clicking is because by doing that, we built in this feature that basically says, oh, what I want to look at is the whole file, no matter what. So you don't have to sweep out an area and choose between the different things. So now within this section, I'm going to play only the sections marked good. And then the playback, what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck repeat, and I'm going to create an EDF. Now I'm going to hit play selected EDF. And now what you're going to see is, all right, it's sweeping through this first area, and now all of a sudden it's going to jump. And now we're in this new area right here. Now it's going to jump, and it's going to that new area. And it's going to continue to grab all those sections that we marked good. And what it's doing is actually producing an EDF out of this file. And it's going to finish up right here with all this information. All right. Now, once again, I'm going to close my software. I'm going to go right here, C drive. I'm going to go Program Data. I'm going to go BrainMaster, Studies, Review Webinar. There's my second file. So I double click it, hit yes, and now I've created a file that's about 32 seconds long of my data that I selected only. Now what's nice about this is from here you can either repeat this data, you can just play this through one time, or basically do whatever you want. Okay. So now, like I said, from what I created with my sections marked good, I have either two options I can go with. I can either play back the file in the original one that I had marked up, or I can use my new file that I created with just those sections marked good. What I'm going to do, and what I usually do, is I use a single file. But some people like to have different files, and that's why I like to show you all the features that you have out of it. So I'm going to go back to my Rob EDF file right here. And I'm going to once again double click right here. I'm going to go to Playback. I'm going to choose my only the sections marked good, and I'm going to choose my Play Selected EEG, and this time I'm going to repeat. And what you're going to notice as far as the difference goes right here is when I repeat is that basically it's going to go back to number or that 2.5 second marker here when this is all done playing back. And I want you guys to kind of see this so you can kind of understand exactly what's going on. All right, and now it gets to the end, and now it's going to jump right to the front. So now, where and why would I want to do something like this? The reason I would like to do something like this is because if, for example, if you build a special review folder like I have, you can have different features and functions basically playing back on each and every tab. You can see more in depth now as opposed to just looking at the EEG information, kind of what's going on with your client as far as what the information is going on with the training. This allows you to kind of, in a sense, do a very simple review of exactly what's going on and how they might have responded to training should have training been going on. You can basically put up any different display that you have options for in training in a review session now. So right now what you're looking at is 19 channel Z-scores. These are the BrainDX Z-scores. These are the BrainDX maps that are going on out of that. If I go to my Z-score training, this is how the person would have been doing with my training protocol set up as I had it. If I go right here to my head display, these are the Loretta Z-scores coming in, and I usually don't like my settings like that. I don't know why I had them. I'm going to be able to kind of turn up my lows and highs a little bit better so I can kind of see what's going on. I can see what my palette is about. I'm actually going to turn off my auto paletting. And then, of course, from here, I would actually be able to use my ROI section to break it down a little bit further, look at different sections, different bits of information. I can dampen it if I choose to slow it down to understand a little bit better of maybe what was going on. But basically, by looping it over and over, I'm basically seeing this kind of occurring, or I'm able to basically see in general kind of what those numbers were at. And it allows me to basically look a little bit further in depth at what possibly might have been going on. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, as I said, we're going to take an EDF file. We're going to kind of start from scratch. We're going to mark some sections marked good, and we're going to playback or create a new EDF out of those files, and kind of go over the artifacting again and marking. All right. So I'm going to stop my software. I'm going to go right here. Let's see. All right. So I'm opening up a new EDF that has some information on it, of course, and there is a section actually marked out on it. Now what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to delete that to start off with. I'm going to go over to it, and as I told you guys before, the way to delete it is right down here. What you're going to do is you're going to right click, you're going to see your marker description come up, and you're going to click delete marker. And of course it's not deleting right now. It could be because I made it in an older software. So I'm going to select a section marked good, and I'm going to mark it as good. Alright, and we got it marked good. And I'm going to take another section and select. And I'm going to do mark as good. And we're going to go a little bit further. And take another section. We're going to mark as good. And I'm going to get one more big chunk. So right here, I'm going to mark it as good. I'm going to delete that one. And as I said, I did that by right-clicking and then doing delete. I'm going to go over right here and select one more section. I'm going to mark it as good. So now that we got our sections marked good, and double-click. I'm going to go to playback. We're playing back the whole file. We are going to play back within that selection. We are going to play only the sections marked good. We are going to leave our standard BrainMaster filters on. This time we are going to repeat, and we are going to create an EDF. We are going to do both of those. So I hit my play selected. It is beginning. We're going to let all the information come in. I am going to turn off my training just real quick by moving that up. We're going to go to my Z-score monitor. I'm going to be able to see my Z-scores rolling in right now and be able to see the information of kind of what's going on. I'm going to be able to go right here and kind of see my maps of exactly what is occurring and changing based on the information that I chose right here as it's jumping and playing. Now I am also going to go to my head display right here, and I'm going to utilize this to see a little bit more in depth. There's the insula, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit auto palette. I'm going to let those numbers come down so I can see my highs and lows. And if you're wondering kind of what I'm doing right here, I recommend going to StressTherapySolutions.com. As I said earlier, they have a really, really, really great feature, basically 2 hours of just going on and covering exactly what's going on in the live Lero projector and how to best utilize it. I'm just kind of going through and kind of clicking on it as once again, I'm technical support, but they go into a little bit more on kind of what you're looking at and what you're going to look at. But you're going to be able to basically just take your time and look at everything that's going on. And of course, you can take out displays. You can change your palette. You can maybe hard set your palette if you really wanted to. And choose the different areas that you want to display. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to look at some of the different Z-scores that are coming in. And I'm going to be able to basically get a nice little picture of just what's going on with this EEG information. And here are my ROI Z-scores coming in. And then I'm going to go back to my maps that are right here. Alright, now you're going to notice that basically from what I've been playing, this clock is counted up to about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Now I'm going to give a little bit more information, and I'm going to stop it at about 3 minutes. And once again, Now that I've done that, I've created an EDF of basically this information being looped over and over and over. So if I close my software and I now go to the C drive, I go to Program Files or Program Data, I go to BrainMaster, I go to Studies, I go to Review Webinar. There we are right here. And there it is, just looped over and over. All right. Let's see. Are you talking about the Ron, are you talking about your question right here? If I name each selected good area, will those retain in the new EDF file? No, they won't. Because basically your new EDF file you basically set is good, or you've set is not bad. So it's basically a brand new fresh EDF file that has nothing to do with the old one. That's why we kind of keep both of them, or you can always go back and forth between the two, because now your new EDF is basically just what you've called good or what you've called not bad. And your old EDF file will actually have the good sections marked and all that. So now, does anybody else have any questions? The reference site, all the information on S. Loretta and the Penny Jean Rudder or Penny Jean Aster Gracefire and Thomas Kalura webinars, they are on StressTherapySolutions.com. The BrainAvatar Google group is a group designed for those who have purchased the BrainAvatar software, and it's a place that they can share information, share clinical information, get updates as to when new updates and things like that are available. If you own the BrainAvatar software and are not a part of the group, I recommend you email us at Technical Support Department with the email that you would like in it, and we'll send you out an invitation right away. And that's for anybody who's in this webinar who may or may not be a part of that group. Okay, well, I guess if there are no more questions, this does conclude the webinar for this one. Just to let you guys know, BrainMaster Technologies will be putting on a whole lot of webinars coming up very, very shortly. We're going to be covering a lot of different new features that you guys are going to be seeing along with the eyes open. There are going to be a lot of other things going on, and we're going to kind of be doing a lot of webinars much like this one to cover all those new things, to kind of keep you guys on the up and up of what's going on and how to do things great. As far as it goes, I just wanted to let you guys know, as I was saying earlier, that should you have any questions, something's not working how you think it should be working, you just need some general help, even with some basic, like teachings and all that, please contact us at Technical Support.